Okay, so the big question here is like I had funding. I've mentioned this on Twitter, so it's it's not like an announcement, but like 3D Realms, my publisher, we're still published. I'm still gonna release with 3D Realms, but our sort of one of our last payments, they were like, we just can't.
Continue.
We need to cut the budget for, and this is happening across the board with publishers.
Yeah.
Like publishers are just like, they're getting scared of indies. So my question to you is, number one, do you agree that the industry is kind of weird right now for indies? And number two, if it is, what do we do? What's the solution here?
Yeah, I think that it was the Devolver boom, which also happened around the same time where Epic was like buying up indies.
Yep.
It was this little behind the scenes gold rush, I guess.
Was that 2015, 2016, 17? When was that?
17, 18.
17. Okay. Yeah, it's like, dude, it was like all these companies had money coming out of their nose. It was crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was hearing some wacky stuff and I was working with Epic as well, mostly to just kind of see numbers go up.
Yeah, I worked with Apple Arcade. They bought one of my games, and it was like unbelievable the money they were spending.
It's not there anymore. And it is because that, like, I think, so what happens is when there's a big boom of something, and I've seen it happen multiple times, like in the late 2000s, there was this indie boom bubbling up. And that was when like Xbox Live and all that, WiiWare, and they were starting to like being like, oh, indies are an option for the future. A lot of people are talking about it. This is a cool new thing. And for Suits, it's just it's a trend. They see a trend happening and they decide to throw money at it and see what happens. So there's just like a bunch of people that have a shitload of money, which I found were called seed investors and angel investors. And they throw money at these things that it's like, oh, fidget spinners are the new thing, that sort of stuff. For a pocket of time, indie games were this new thing. And I started to just get random emails from these people saying, I want to give you money. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, you can give me money. And then they would be like, well, you got to do this, this, and this, and play by these rules and do that. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I had people coming up to me and taking me out to dinner to ask me about what I thought about doing a handheld flash game console. Isn't that crazy? And I said, what? People are playing these games on their computer for free. So I don't know if that's going to actually translate well. Like I saw stuff that eventually turned into stuff like Congregate and like all these different websites. And it's like this tide, whoosh, it flows over and then it dropped down again. And then it came up again. And around the time where like Devolver was just like taking in shitloads of indies and there were hits that were happening, like Hotline Miami and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people just saw that as, oh, we just throw money at indies. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done. You're indie? That's cool. That's fine. Like that's the thing. And then they just throw money at it. And some are more, I'm not saying that all these people are idiots, but the vibe for the more not in the know people literally just were throwing money at indies. And it doesn't necessarily translate to profits because it's fucking random and you don't know what it is that's going to happen. Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing. You give indies, and this is no shade here to you. You give an indie money, they'll take their fucking time. And that's the truth.
Yes, they will.
And I think a lot of that happens a lot too. Like you take the wind out of their sails in a lot of the ways. Like you gotta have that struggle in order to really get shit done sometimes.
So a publisher in 2025, a publisher might have a different approach. Like if I was a publisher, and I've thought about becoming a publisher, to be honest with you, if I was a publisher, I would kind of be a control freak.
Oh yeah, but
I would say, but they're not. They're
blind to everything. They're looking the other way.
I would say because it's like it's almost like I'm not going to do this because it's just if I was an asshole publisher in 2025 and I wanted to actually get a return on my investment, what I would do is I would say, you got to tell me where the money's going. You got to tell me who your team is, and you got to tell me, and we're going to have like monthly milestone meetings to discuss every freaking thing, because
but that's a lot of work for you.
I know it is, but I've had so many meetings with publishers where they're like, yeah, we had to cut this project and we had to cut that project and cut this project. And I say, well, why? And they go, well, it just ballooned and scope creep and it just ballooned out of control and we can't keep funding it. And I'm like, well, that's your fault in a way. Because like you got to keep tabs on who you're investing in.
You have to suffer on the downfall of all these other people that could get this shit together, or people just not doing their jobs. Yeah. No, it's I have a few windows into the industry, especially large companies. I've seen large companies. I have friends at large companies who are like, "Oh my God, the amount of fucking money that these people are just throwing at nothing. It's just astounding." And I'm thinking like, and I'm still in this mindset, right? It's really hard for me. I'm a cheap person. You know, I grew up poor. I understand what money is. And for me, my success could end at any point and all my money could go away. And that's how I usually like kind of think about these things.
You're on thin ice. You feel that way all the time.
And it's hard for me to hear like, oh, so-and-so publisher gave this pretty green team $15 million to work with. And they spent it all in 2 years and there's no end in sight. And I'm thinking like, I'm thinking like, why aren't you? Well, my knee jerk is, why are you giving me this money to do this? Like, I could do it. I could get the job done, but then maybe I couldn't. But yeah, no, it's
almost like a casino. It's like
there's a lot of money in this industry. That's the reality. There's
even now though.
Yes. There's an astounding amount of money in video games, and there are people in suits that are playing that are rolling the dice and just being like, I'm going to give this company $1 billion because the video game industry makes X billion dollars a year. So I'm going to give $1 billion into this and I'm going to invest in and see what happens. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. There's a lot of money flowing around in the mainstream, a tremendous tidal wave of money. And it just kind of goes nowhere because people are doubling down on all these crazy things. And then when the money dries up, they go, well, I'm not going to take any risks anymore. Like, we're going to do a sequel. Like, we're going to just do a sequel of something that already worked, because that is that's at least guaranteed to recoup whatever we invest in that. Maybe we'll make some money back off of these other things that failed. And this is where indies come in. And this is the fucking Balatro situation here. You need to have these people who are off in the corner over there just doing their own shit because they love to do it, not thinking about money, not worrying about it, because they're the ones that are going to end up coming up with the next thing that you can fucking clone 1 million times and make money off of it because it was already established.
Yeah.
But it can be very hard to see that. Like, yes, I feel like if I played that game before it released, I would say, wow, this is really good and it's going to do huge.
But Balatro?
This is really clever. Like, this is really well designed and I can see it winning awards. That said, I played Minecraft before it came out and I said, I don't get it and I don't like it.
You like it now?
I get it now.
You get it now?
I get it now. I totally get it now. I totally understand now. I didn't know people would be playing it like that. Yeah. I didn't know. Like, I couldn't envision that.